Python provides a while loop, and we're going to look at that now. So the while loop, we have while condition, then execute body. So we're coming into our statement here. So while, we check a condition. If the condition is true, it executes all the statements in the body. When it finishes executing those statements, it comes back and checks the condition again. Is the condition true? If it's still true, it comes through and executes all the statements in the body and comes back again. And it'll keep on checking checking if the condition is true until the condition is false. So if the condition is false, it'll then exit and go to the next statement. So in code, that looks a bit like this. So we have while, we have a condition, and then we have a colon. So all the statements that are indented under that while statement are part of that body. So I'll come in while condition is true, execute statement 1, statement 2. Come back again, while condition is true, execute statement 1, statement 2. While condition is true, statement 1, statement 2, and so on. Now if I get back up here to while and my condition now is changed to false, it will not run these statements. So it will still check, see the condition is false, and it will exit and go to the next statement. So you can see here this is indented to the same line. Those are indented in. So you need to just watch that indentation. You also need to make sure that your condition can change to false. So if you're using a counter, that counter must be incremented. But at some point, we have to hit a false. Otherwise, our code will get into a loop and it'll just stay executing and running and running and running as a loop. Okay, so let's look at this simple code here. So I've got a comment. I've got a print statement. I've set a variable, and then I've got a while condition. So while count is less than 5, colon, execute this body. So print count. So count starts at 0, so I'm going to print 0. I'm going to increment count by 1. I'm going to come back in here. Is 1 less than 5? Yes, it is. So print 1. Count now becomes 2. While 2 less than 5? Yes, it is. Print 2. Count becomes equal to 3. While 3 less than 5? Print 3. Count becomes equal to 4. While 4 less than 5? Print 4. Count becomes equal to 5. While count less than 5, no it's not, exit the loop and come to the next statement. Okay, so let's look at some of that code. Okay, so the first one, here was what we just did there on that last slide. Right, this next bit of code here is this. Okay, so in here, printing a blank line, printing a heading, declare a variable n assigned to a value of 10, declare a variable sum assigned to a value of 0, declare a variable counter assigned to a value of 1. So while counter is less than or equal to n, so it's less than and equal to, whereas this was less than. So if I had a less than or equal to up here, it would have printed 0 through to 5, but it only printed 0 to 5 because it was less than 10. So this is less than or equal to. Sum is incremented by the counter is incremented. So it runs through my loop. Counter is 1. Is it less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. Sum becomes equal to 1. Increment counter now is 2. So while counter is less than or equal to 10, sum becomes incremented by counter. So sum was 1. I'm adding 2 to that, so sum now holds 3. Counter now goes to 3. So while 3 less than or equal to 10, sum, which was 3, is incremented by the counter, which is 3, was 6. Counter now is 4. While 4 less than or equal to 10, 6 is incremented, sum is incremented from 6 to 10. 6 plus 4 is 10. Counter now is 5. While 5 is less than or equal to 10, 10 plus 5 is 15. So sum now holds 15. Counter now holds 6. I hope I haven't gone wrong there, but you get the gist of it. So it'll keep adding all the numbers between 1 and 10 together, and it will then, when counter has reached 10, it will exit and print this statement, which it did there. Okay, this next one is looking for a match in a string. So this is printing this one here. So it's waiting. So see, it hasn't gone and executed the rest of the code. It's sitting waiting for me here because of the input. So I have a variable called user choice. So while user choice is equivalent to y. So I've set it to y to begin with, and then I'm executing it based on y. So it's going to print hello world. It's then going to ask the user, do they wish to continue, yes or no? And it's going to sit and wait for the prompt, and the input is going to put into user choice. So I'm going to hit N for no. Okay, So it's gone, so it's hit no, doesn't want to continue, so user choice is no longer equal to Y, so it exits and moves on to the next one. The next one is this one here. Okay, so I printed a nice line. This is using an if. So I've got code word is declared as an empty variable, and so I've got while code word is not equal to coding. Okay, so I've got coding hard coded in here to a variable code word. I ask the user to enter their password, and I input that into code word. If code word is equal to or is equivalent to the word coding, print welcome to our club. Okay, else print better luck next time. Okay, so I'm going to enter something here which is not coding, so I'm going to say open. Okay, hit better luck next time. Then it went back into the loop. Please enter your password. Okay, so it's going to sit there and wait until I enter coding. So I'll just show you that is the case. True. No, better luck next time. Try again. Type coding. It exits the loop. Okay, let's look at the next one here. This next loop loops through a list. So I've got a list of students, Tom, Pat, and Dolly, and Jake. I've set an index equals to 0. Now if you remember, a list has each element in a list is accessed by a sequence number or an index number, with the first being 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So index starts at 0. So y I is less than the length of students. So the length of students is the length of the string. The length of the string is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So while I is less than 5, okay, I print students I. Okay, so I starts off holding a 0 in it. I'm printing students, the element at 0, which is Tom. I increment I. Now if I don't increment I, I'm going to be stuck in that loop forever. Okay, so increment I, come back up here, I is now equal to 1. Is 1 less than the length of students, which is 5? Yes, it is. So let's print the next one. So print students. Of course, this holds a 1, so it's going to print Pat for me. Increment I now is 2. So while 2 is less than 5, yes, it is. Print students, point 2, which is Anne. Increment this to 3. It's going to print Dolly. Increment this to 4, it's going to print Jake, and then it's going to come up here, and I is going to hold 5 in it. So is 5 less than 5? Yes, it is, so it doesn't execute anymore. So once it's finished Jake, it then exits the loop. And the final loop that I want to show you is this one, is using a Boolean, okay, because our while condition checks for is something true and false. Okay, so this prints to the user, it prints just hello world, okay. And I've got my loop is while user choice is not equal to false. So user choice is equal to true, set to true. So while it hasn't been changed to false, do something. So I ask the user, do they want to continue, yes or no? If the user inputs an N, I set the user choice to false. Sorry, that should be there. Else if user choice is equal to a Y or an N, I said I leave it at true. There's actually no need to do that because it's already at true, but it's just for readability. And I want to show you the else if. And then we have else. Else, if they print something else, you say print correct, incorrect value entered. Okay, and that gives me that. Okay. So do you want to continue? Yes. Do you want to continue? Yes. Continue? No. And it exits the code.